On a quiet Sunday morning in August 1942, the residents of Bellevue Avenue in Daly City looked up to see a nightmare drifting toward them. A massive, sagging, silver shape was scraping across their rooftops, snapping telephone lines and crushing flower beds. It was the L-8, a United States Navy blimp. As the airship finally came to a rest in the middle of the street, a crowd of neighbors, police, and firefighters rushed toward the gondola. They expected to pull injured men from the wreckage. Instead, they found the cabin door latched wide open. Inside, the radio was on, the engines were warm, and a briefcase of classified documents sat untouched behind the pilot's seat. Everything was in perfect working order, but the two-man crew had simply vanished into thin air. This is the story of the Ghost Blimp, a World War II mystery that has remained unsolved for over 80 years. To understand what happened, we have to go back to 6:03 a.m. on August 16, 1942. The United States had been at war with Japan for 8 months, and the West Coast was on high alert after Japanese submarines had shelled California and Oregon. The Navy used converted Goodyear advertising blimps like the L-8 for coastal anti-submarine patrols. On board that morning were two experienced men, 27-year-old Lieutenant Ernest DeWitt Cody and 35-year-old Ensign Charles Adams. For Adams, this was his first flight as a commissioned officer. Just before takeoff from Treasure Island, a third man, James Riley Hill, was ordered off the craft to save weight, a decision that may have unintentionally saved his life. The L-8's mission was routine: fly out to the Farallon Islands, circle back past Point Reyes, and return to base. The sky was clear, the blimp had just been inspected, and it had a record of over 1,000 successful trips. At 7:38 a.m., the silence of the radio room at Treasure Island was broken. Cody's voice came through with a brief, professional update. AM investigating suspicious oil slick. Stand by. An oil slick, often meant a submarine, was lurking below the surface. Below the L-8, witnesses on a Liberty ship and a fishing boat watched as the blimp descended to just 30 feet above the water. One witness on the Daisy Gray later claimed he could clearly see the pilots inside the gondola. He even noticed that one of them had brown hair. The L-8 dropped 2 smoke flares to mark the location. The crew of the nearby ship Albert Gallatin even manned their guns, expecting to see the blimp drop its depth charges. But the attack never came. Instead, the L-8 rose back into the sky and began to drift toward San Francisco. At 8:50 a.m., controllers tried to make contact again. There was no answer. The L-8 had gone silent. For the next few hours, the L-8 became a phantom over San Francisco. It was spotted by search planes and even a Pan Am Clipper seaplane, flying as high as 2,000 feet, double its normal altitude. By now, an automatic valve had opened to release helium, causing the blimp to sag into a strange V-shape. To onlookers on the ground, it looked like a big broken wiener. At 11:15 a.m., the blimp drifted back toward the coast. It briefly touched down on Ocean Beach, where 2 fishermen tried to grab its mooring ropes. They peered into the gondola windows and realized with horror, no one was inside. The blimp, now 325 pounds lighter after dislodging a depth charge against a cliff, rose one last time before finally crashing on Bellevue Avenue. When investigators swarmed the site, the mystery deepened. The pilots' parachutes were still on their racks. The rubber life raft was still in its place. The only things missing were the 2 men and their life jackets, which regulations required them to wear at all times over the ocean. The Navy launched a massive search, but not a single trace of Cody or Adams was ever found. In 1943, they were legally declared dead. So, what happened? The official theory is as mundane as it is tragic. While investigating the oil slick, one of the men may have opened the rear hatch to drop a smoke marker. He could have slipped, and while the other pilot rushed to save him, both fell into the sea. A mechanic later revealed the gondola door hadn't been properly secured before takeoff. But the lack of radio distress calls and the fact that they were seen by boats hours before the crash has led to wilder speculation. Were they captured by a Japanese submarine? Some witnesses claimed a third person was seen in the cabin through binoculars. Others whispered about alien abductions. Most bizarrely, Cody's widow later reported that her mother believed she saw him alive and dazed in Phoenix, Arizona, in 1947, seemingly suffering from amnesia. The L-8 itself was eventually repaired and returned to service. It even lived a second life as the Goodyear Blimp America, filming sporting events until 1982. Today, the gondola sits in a museum in Florida, a silent witness to a tragedy it cannot explain. The ocean is an expert at keeping secrets, and the fate of Cody and Adams remains one of its most haunting. They didn't give up the ship simply returned home without them. The mystery of the L-8 is like finding an empty car idling in the middle of a bridge with the music still playing. The vessel is right there, but the story of those inside has been claimed by the wind. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like and subscribe for more mysterious tales.